It's storage saga time, baby. In today's episode, since I'm, suited up and all, I think it's only fair we kick off a brand new multi-episodic project. In today's episode, the focus is what makes a storage building good and what makes one maybe not so good. While talking my storage building method, we'll take a nostalgic trip into the past and take a look at some of my past storage builds too. We'll talk ins and outs of storage creation and crafting right here together today. The Cathedral, my personal favorite and probably best storage building that I've ever built. In honor of the establishment of our little saga today, I set us out a goal. The goal is pretty straightforward and simple. The storage building, and whatever we end up doing with it, it needs to top this little cathedral sitting right behind me. Yeah, that's right. With this little storage building, we truly had it all. I had a fancy, cool-looking redstone entrance. I had lots of cool color and decoration bets all over the place. The checkered black and white floor, it was smooth and clean. And maybe most importantly for a storage building, I had something that was really intuitive and easy to use. Like, anytime I maybe needed to get a little bit of cobblestone, it was like right in front of my face. Same thing with any logs that I needed to get and really anything else. Looking back on it now, I guess I really never ended up utilizing the full storage building or really even storing all that much in general, but this was a great storage building. From the cool vibes, to the clean aesthetics, to the nice function of this entire large build right here, this thing was great. Now before we dive into it all, I'm doing a little bit of research. I need some help. Your favorite storage building ever. And I'm talking favorite, not like just something you saw me do. Was it a beautiful build you built in the realm with your boys? Was it Ethos Lab unfinished great storage building? What was it? For research purposes, do me a favor and tell me all about it down below. Thank you. Starting from the ground up in our current little world right here, as soon as you get the itch for that storage building, there's one single spot that you need to start. When it comes to a good storage building, I feel like there are maybe approximately 4 major components to consider. The most major, the first one, location. With this build, it's all location. You see, over here at our little base, we've got a lot of cool builds going on. Not only does our new storage building have to actually fit in a spot, so unfortunately the spot, the sunflower field right here next to beautiful fjord, that's probably off of the books, but it needs to be accessible too. You see, if I were to take, say, the easy route and settle my storage building all the way over there where it's nice, flat, and open, I mean, yes, I might have a beautiful, grand view of the masterpiece once it's done being built, but, I mean, everything else is literally over here. That would be the most painful storage building to access of all time. Now, when it comes to the prime location for our storage building, I've got a couple ideas, but we'll come back to it. First things first, the building itself. For me, personally, I like to think of a storage building as sort of like the heart and soul of a survival world. It's a very, very important build that can either kind of make or break your Minecraft world, in a sense. I put a lot of pressure on myself. The stakes are very high here. To make the stakes of storage building planning maybe a little bit more straightforward, I highly recommend doing one of the smartest moves of all time for this process, and that is super flat world. Over here in our little super flat world where we've been before, we could really get a true blank canvas. Tons of ground all over the place here. There is so much room for me to just try out idea after idea until eventually I get it perfectly right. When building a storage building, there are 4 major components in my eyes that go into it. Blocks, beautiful blocks. In modern Minecraft, there are so many different options to choose from. But in your world, are there really so many options to choose from? So it all comes down to the scale of your storage building. Maybe if you're going to build a storage building that is very, very tiny, I don't know how this is going to work, but if you're going to build it very, very tiny, I guess really anything's on the table here. If you're going to build the build a little bit larger, big scale like me, not exactly every block in the game is going to be on the table. Say, I don't know, we'll take maybe Prismarine. Prismarine's a beautiful block. It could be a great storage building block, but for me, in my specific situation, getting a lot of Prismarine for this build is going to be difficult. Same thing with, say, red nether bricks or maybe red sandstone. As cool as these blocks look, and maybe heck as cool as they could all look together, it's going to be very difficult to get a lot of these for a large-scale build. Very beautiful blocks, but very difficult to get. It all smashes together supersonic speed to make a build that is going to be insanely annoying and painful to build. So don't do it. Instead, at moment of reflection, we think back inside of our world right now, what we've done recently, and all of the blocks that we might be kind of fully stacked up on already. So very recently, and quite giantly, if I say so myself, we took on a big dig operation. That digging operation yielded us tons of cobblestone, more than I could ever dream of, stone, and deep slate as well. Recently, inside of this world, inside of my life, inside of Minecraft, I've kind of been loving the whole, like, dark oak wood and maybe oak wood combination. Maybe more specifically with, like, oak planks or something like that. I like that tone. Long time ago, little secret, I've been holding deer in help me out, somebody. What is the word for it? Very long time ago, we took on the amethyst build. And when I took on the amethyst build, I dug out all the calcite. I put it in a box. I've got 10 stacks of calcite inside of my world. And I knew since I collected up all that calcite, it would be amazing to build it on a storage building. In pursuit of the best storage building of all time, we've got to use some beautiful looking blocks. So calcite for sure. And then finally, terracotta. I feel like terracotta is a nice, like, kind of neutral block that I could use for maybe like a floor or maybe details on the build or something like that. A couple other textures that I might come in here to detail with is maybe a little bit of stone bricks. Those go perfectly with those 3 blocks right there. That's going to lend to a beautiful looking build, and maybe a little bit of some of my favorite wood as well. A little bit of spruce wood. But I have one more trick up my sleeve. Of course, with this build, I'm thinking big grand windows, so some kind of stained glass window. I think depending on how I set up the build, maybe like light blue glass could go really, really nicely with the calcite if it ends up touching. I also think I want to put a little bit of color into this build. Color, the vibe, the wave that I'm on, out of all of the colors inside of Minecraft, my single most favorite one, it's gotta be yellow. Yellow is a beautiful color. I would love to incorporate yellow into this storage building in honor of my childhood blanket that I creatively named Yellow. You'll never guess what color it was, really. Now, hammering out a solid block palette for your next most beautiful build, there could kind of be a lot to it. Again, the main thing that I'm considering for this build right here, considering the fact that it's going to be scaled up quite large, is how easy will it be for me to get large quantities of those blocks so I could say build the build even bigger, like 3 or 4 times larger than that giant tower right there. We've talked on and off about designing and picking different block palettes throughout this series so far, but one of my biggest tips here is creative Minecraft. Inside of the creative menu, of course, you can see every single block in the world. You can very easily slide straight into the menu, grab any block that you're dreaming of, drop it down in your world, and find out pretty quickly if those blocks are going to mesh well together. And for our block palette, minus the sponge, I think that's good. So the first thing to consider when planning and building a big storage building is the cost to build it, your block palette. What blocks will you use? Next up, how will you actually use those blocks? Like, what shape are you maybe going to make your next big build? For me, I don't know what it is, but always, when planning out some kind of grand big build as important as a storage building, I like to keep it simple. Minecraft's best builder in the world is an unchained beast that builder can make any shape work. Maybe a giant triangle build, yeah, it could work. A circle, a square, a rectangle, doesn't matter. However, I do feel like there are certain shapes that tend to work a little bit better. Those shapes that tend to work a little bit better are maybe a little bit more simple. We're talking these 3 right here. I like circles, I like squares, I love a good rectangle as well. I feel like with a rectangle build, you could have almost split it into like 2 parts right here. You got like your main part with everything that you use a lot, and then you have more of the build like near the back or something that is still accessible, but maybe like things you don't need every day, say netherite ingots or something like that. I'm not here to tell you today that absolutely don't make it a complex shape. Like, you do you rock your own vibe. Maybe you want to have like a shape like that with a circle, a square, another square, rectangle, whatever. Go for it, that's amazing. But for me here today, our storage building, I like to keep it simple. And simple, I think I have a little bit of a dream and a vision. What I was imagining here is a large storage building. Right now, I'm just kind of dropping blocks down in the world. Don't really have specific measurements in mind or nothing like that, but a large building. I was thinking that this large building will maybe be a large rectangle. And based on the orientation of our base, I think I'm going to have our build maybe turn to the side instead of like to the front. That way, with this build turned to the side, not only is it going to feel more massive, but I think it'll just like kind of fit in with our base and what we have going for it so far. Based on the build techniques that we're going to dive into a whole lot more in the next episode when we actually get to building this thing inside of our world, I also like to build on odd amounts. So here's what I was thinking. Maybe a giant build looking something a little bit like that. Technically speaking, it's a rectangle. I went 27-ish or so blocks long and then 23 blocks wide right there. The measurements are really just placeholders. I might come back in a little bit later on and change them. In fact, I probably will. No, I know. I said keep it simple here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping it simple with a giant rectangle. I think that'll be cool for our build. I like the idea of main part of the build in the front of the thing with like a bunch of chests that I use day to day, and then maybe more expanded extra storage in the back of the build. Over on the outside of the build, aesthetically, I have a little bit of a dream and a vision. Now, for this part of the build, the dream and the vision, that's where I would like to recommend you, my little old friend, inspiration. Inspiration is a sweet and beautiful thing and the true ticket to wonderful success. Google Images, Minecraft storage building, that's all I looked up, and I have build after build after build. If I was like maybe in the dark, not really knowing where to start, this is where I would actually start. I would look up Minecraft storage building, I'd take a look at maybe some of the designs, and then, hey, whoa, look at that one with like an eyeball on the top of the build. It's a little bit blurry, isn't it? Even the greatest Minecraft builder of all time needs to begin with some inspiration. That inspiration could be online, it could be inside of a book, or it could be in real life. If you don't know what to do, you need to be inspired. Now, I don't want to give the whole build away. That wouldn't be any fun at all. I have some ideas in mind here. One of my biggest, most favorite ideas is I was thinking a giant rectangular build and then sitting off to the side on every side. Because I've been so into towers inside of this world so far, I was thinking maybe what we could do is like tower in each corner, something like that. Then I was kind of envisioning maybe like a big giant W on this side. W stands for window right there. So we're gonna have a big window, and then maybe that'll be like the back of the build, so no big window, maybe just more functional or whatever. Then I'm thinking maybe like a main entrance to the build on one side of the build, so maybe something like that. Maybe like a 3-wide doorway that could be big and grand. Maybe put redstone, maybe not. Then I was also thinking big staircase. How cool would it be if I had like staircases stepping up to the side of the build, and then maybe if I like say line this up with the middle or something, I could do like tall pillars or something too. Actually, whoa, no, oh no way, that actually worked out perfectly. That was just random guesswork. Maybe we'll end up keeping the dimensions, I don't know, but I was imagining maybe some like big tall pillars cutting all the way up to staircases, nice and tall. Oh, that'll be really grand. Now quartz, oh, I love quartz so much, but that goes back to the blocks that are so expensive to use. I used quartz in the storage building before, but I don't think I can do it this time. I'm flat out of it. But speaking of quartz, I've definitely used quartz on a storage building before. Oh, the storage cathedral from the only season of Minecraft survival that I've done. This build, I really like this thing. After you figure out your block palette, after you maybe think about the shape a little bit, it's time to think about how useful will this storage building actually be? Or in other words, how easy will this storage building be to use? No matter what, your storage building, when it's all said and done and in your world, is going to become a very crucial part of your world. You're probably going to end up coming over to it quite a bit. So with some ideas in our head, now let's talk a little bit about layout of this place. Does anybody over here remember this whole place? The floating island, the dinner bone island over there, the giant mob farm. I don't think that thing would even work. Oh no, it does work still. Oh, it's beautiful. The giant mob farm. Oh, my first mega build ever. The funny thing is, this storage building is probably going to end up being the size of that pyramid. Or maybe even bigger too. Oh, this place, this holds so many fond memories inside of my mind. Oh, the villager thing. Hi, I miss this world so much. This is so sweet. The very first guide world, the world that kind of kicked it all off. Inside of this world, I mean, aesthetically, it's a nice looking storage building. I feel like we've come a long way, but it's nice looking. However, this thing was functionally a mess. I didn't really enjoy using this thing. You see, I designed this thing with like storage nook over here. I thought, oh, ton of chests, easy to reach them all. Then on the other side, I have another storage nook. What this all amounted to is a whole lot of back and forth across this big open stretch of nothing to go into this corner. Then I would like have to run back over and say maybe go over to this corner over here. Then it's like, oh wait, I gotta put something over here too. And yeah, sure, I guess maybe a little bit of thoughtfulness could go into this. And maybe I like try and drop everything off on one side of the room. Then I move over to the other side of the room. But come on, let's be honest, it doesn't work like that for me. I also have this extra storage up top that I could like get over to easily, and I don't think I ever really needed it. But really, long story short, because of how this room was like laid out with like separate like alcoves or whatever you want to call them over there, it was really annoying to use. Of course, no doubt about it, where I started to really get into my true stride here was with this cathedral right here. Though it is still big and open, like maybe a lot of back and forth, instead of going into back corners, I could just like turn around and look and be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna walk straight over there. All right, then I'm gonna turn back around and walk straight over here. Point is that it was all a whole lot more centered on like a single area, a single point, and yeah, just like easier to use. Even the things that I needed to store like a little bit less, say stuff back here, well, it was all still very easy to access. All I needed to do was like walk over towards the back of the build and, you know, then I could reach all of these things or those things too. I got that excess storage up top, which is maybe a little bit more annoying to reach from the bottom floor, but then again, it's excess overflow storage. I'm not really meant to need to like reach this every single moment of every single day. I could always say like take cobblestone and move it down here when I start to get a little bit low. Another spot where I think I hit it big and successful is this building right here. And for this building, not only did I have that whole we had that whole straight back and forth concept again, centered around a single point, which is going to be like the middle of this table right here. And back in the day, about a year ago, I could have easily jumped straight across the table, grabbed the logs, then jumped straight across and grabbed the obsidian, and you know, it was really easy to use. Tons and tons of excess overflow storage here too. Like, this is probably, definitely my biggest storage building of all time. Way more chests inside of this thing than the cathedral ever had. Another beautiful thing about this build is how easy it was to get in and out of. I really liked how I could like walk into this build, grab everything that I need, then use my elytra and literally just rocket out of the ceiling of this build and go over to whatever I needed to do next. Whoa, my God. With these shaders and the higher render distance that I have nowadays, that is a beautiful looking range. Anyways, this storage building, I truly got every aspect right. I got it easy to come in and out of, I got it easy to organize, and at the same time, I got a setup for expansion into the future. In the future, if I was in this world and say like 1.21 and I want a chest for all the copper stuff, oh, well, you better believe it, I've got more than enough room to expand outwards in the future. So the third thing you consider when making your storage building is how easy is it to use. Start off by considering what I'm calling your back and forth storage, or in other words, your chest layout. You're not really going to want to have to go up and down, up and down. Maybe even to figure it out, do some test layouts in a creative world with chests. To make your life easier with your storage building, that all means maybe try and keep things to a single floor or maybe 2 floors, your second floor being like overflow storage, and maybe keep it a simple shape. Again, that's where that whole shape talk comes in. If I have something like a rectangle, a circle, I mean, this is really easy to use. I walk over here, I walk over there, I walk back and forth. Very nice. And then, of course, hand in hand with these other 2 things, when using it, of course, how you're going to get over to the build to use it. Consider it. Keep it in mind when planning out what you're going to do with your storage building. Maybe a big door, maybe an open roof, and maybe like multiple doors on a couple sides of the build. Maybe you have a hole in your window, a door over there. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, what I'm thinking is I want to take this idea of the storage coliseum and kind of combine it with a cathedral. Maybe cut out some of the empty, unused space in the middle, add in even more chests than ever before, and make it really, really nice and wide open. You know, we'll make it nice and easy to access, so it's nice and easy to use forever. Whew, sheesh, this has been a lot of talking today. We've been talking about a lot of different things. I hope it's all interesting to you, and I guess I just never know how these like talky, informationally episodes are going to be received. I hope you like it. Anyways, we've considered the palette, we've considered the shape, and I've considered maybe like some of the more finer details of the shape, like how easy is it going to be to use. The fourth and final thing we need to consider is the layout. Where are we going to actually put this thing? No, it's beautiful. It all comes full circle. Location, location. Like I said, I love the idea of putting it over there and getting a beautiful view of the thing, but location, that would be terrible. With that being said, though, I want to be able to see this build. To be able to see this build, I was thinking this area right here is kind of the heart right now, but maybe we change and shift the direction of the world a little bit and maybe finally move inward into the cherry blossom forest. Looking around at what we've done so far in the base, I feel like I've done a pretty good job at like compacting everything and making it all like, you know, packed in, so I don't really have room over here. In the last episode, we built this beautiful build, moving down the fjord ever so slightly. I like the idea of maybe putting the build over here, but I also don't really, because again, same problem. Just like over there, this is so far out of the way, and I don't think even in the future this is ever going to be the middle point of our world. As cool and, I guess, beautiful view as that could be. It's not gonna happen. However, one spot that I could see working out perfectly and becoming the new center of the world is right back over here. So when I set up this mining zone a while ago, I wanted this to be like dead center in the world or close to it, like very easy to get to from everywhere. that would all mean that it may be, just maybe, probably, perhaps, definitely, this area right over here off of the iron farm that has nothing obstructing it in front of it. Not only is it easy location, probably center in the future, but oh, I think that beautiful view. Tree chopples, it's time. So it's not that I hate the cherry tree, because I really don't. That's not true. They're beautiful. One of the most beautiful trees of Minecraft of all time. But at the same time, it's not that I love the cherry tree. I've grown so sick of it, seeing them all over the place. But I'm feeling so conflicted right now as I walk around in this little field right here and, you know, start to chop down a bunch of the trees. I don't exactly know how far I need to go even. I feel like maybe I'm kind of looking good, but I don't know. I feel conflicted. It's sad to see all these trees go, but on the other hand, I could always grow them back, right? Like, to make myself feel better, I could add them in and make them even taller and better than ever before, so it's okay. We can deforest it all. These shaders, I've been loving them for a minute now, but I think it's finally time. And for the duration of this project, until this build is fully built, at least exterior-wise, to capture that raw vanilla Minecraft essence and not be tricked by any shaders that it might enhance the beauty 10 times naturally. No more shaders until the build is done. So, over the course of today's episode, there's been a lot of information on how to design a storage building. Basically, all of those words amount to everything that goes on inside of my head when it's time inside of a world, or long overdue time inside of a world. One way or the other, that's everything that I start to think about and consider when it's time to start to plan a storage building. And then, of course, beyond the planning and when it's time to actually add that beautiful next build to your Minecraft world. In between episodes, to prep us up for this giant build that is going to come in right in this whole flat area, what I'm going to do is continue to prep up the build site and then probably run around and start to try and collect up every single block that I think I'm going to need for this build. Unfortunately, to make it easier on me, I think a lot of the blocks that I'm going to end up needing are going to sit right in front of me. Maybe I'll set up a small smelting operation using the lava farm over there and some of this stone, or cobblestone. When it comes to our specific storage build, I've got a whole lot more details in mind too, but what fun would it be if I just show you what I'm going to build over the next couple episodes and then actually just get it? I guess you'll have to wait and see. Thank you all so much for watching this informationally packed episode of the Minecraft Guide. And I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're working on a storage building, good luck. In the next episode, we'll be going into a whole lot more detail when detailing and building big, beautiful builds. Until that moment right there, it's been me, Waddles. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Hey, wait, there's more. At least one more thing. I can't believe it. I genuinely can't believe it. How could I almost forget? Today's comment of the day. So for today's comment of the day, it's from a couple people from a couple episodes ago. It's full trust in you guys right here. I'm Powder Snow. We're going to try a little build trick that I've never heard of before. The magic tower over here is really cool. I love this build, and now that the big trees are starting to grow in over here, I feel like it looks really good. Just need a couple more to grow. However, when it comes to exiting the top of the tower, it's not exactly perfect. Ignore that down there. I'm told, allegedly, we could do powder snow, and then we could put carpet on top of it. And allegedly, that's going to cancel all fall damage, but cause no problems at all. So, we go up right there, then over here, we have the snow with the carpet. Oh, you're genius. Oh, you're so genius. That's amazing. Oh, that's the perfect workaround. No slime block. Oh, yeah. If you commented that, sincerely and dearly, I love you so deeply. Thank you. And now, for real this time, go have a good day. Goodbye.